Hello there. Hello, everyone. We
Hello,
have,
hello.
yes, we're going to be a You Tell Me football podcast. Have a little cheeky live stream. We're hoping to make this a weekly thing. And I'm joined by some illustrious guests. I'll start off with, the Merchant of Venice, the Azzurri Prince, the Italian Stallion, Iggy.
Oh, what an introduction. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here, Jinty. Nice to see you, Will.
Yeah.
What's
And
going on,
Will
fellas?
Stewart. Yeah. The K-Town Americano, Will Stewart from THC Rants. How's it going, mate?
It's going well. It's going well.
I was hoping some of the one of the English Tottenham boys would be coming on to talk, but it seems like we've got an Italian, an American, a Scottish people. We've not got a single Englishman coming in.
They'll be here. They'll be here. Don't worry.
I know. Yeah. Look. Yeah. Exactly. Will Cody, and England crowding for us.
How you doing, Cody? How you doing, guys?
All right, Lemonade. Oh yeah, of course he is. Azzurri Prince.
Okay.
Or Regina. But yeah, so I've got some questions. I was coming for your Discord, the You Tell Me. And the first one I want to shoot us off with, let's just go straight fire into it, was asked by, let me just get it up. Why is it not showing? That's today's banner. Which was Spurs Rye, who said, what's each team's path to victory? So I was having a look at this. So I'll let's go through each team, and I've made up a wee tactical board graphic here. I thought I would dig into it, and I'll talk about it, and you can tell me if I'm talking crap or not at the end there, and then you can give your thoughts. So we got it here, right? So I think since since there's no English fans here, on the live stream, let's focus on the old Italy first. It's this lovely 4-4-3 system they've got. This new style, Iggy, we've got in, not the old defensive style. And I love how they play this very fluid attacking football, man. And they've got I don't know, but I've noticed here they've got 2 or 3 ways to play out, right?
Yeah.
They've got the pass out to either Chiellini or Bonucci. Did you actually know that Bonucci has like the highest passing stat?
Yeah, he's an ex-midfielder, isn't he? So he started off as a midfielder. So they dropped him back in defence when he became a pro. So his passing tendencies, if basically the situation there is, if Jorginho gets a man mark situation, we have another playmaker just behind him that can play from the back if Jorginho's been man marked.
Yeah, so I've noticed that. So either they'll put it out to, so that they'll obviously don't start that high up. They'll put it out to the wing to Chiesa, or I think kind of the unsung hero, which is Jorginho, mate. Everything seems to go through him, and he's been doing it in Napoli. Now he's doing it, unfortunately, at Chelsea. And I've always noticed when they come and they attack, mate, they push this style where they all go kind of forward. Jorginho says that, but one winger comes forward and then they drop it back free.
Yeah.
And obviously this was Spinazzola, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know about yous, but I feel that Spinazzola being injured is actually kind of potentially a blessing in disguise, because if you look at the right back situation at England, you've got Walker, you've got Trippier, you've got Reece James, and they could have the same thing that they had with Germany, where they just put those 3 right backs on the right hand side to completely shut down Gosen, who was Germany's best player, and you could have that with Spinazzola. So I don't know about you. What would you think about this, Iggy and Stuart, of having bring in Florenzi and potentially play down this side, because Sterling never really tracks back, and I think Chiesa and Florenzi will have pace on Luke Shaw, man, and have a nice 2-for-1 there.
Well, the thing is, with Emerson being in the side, it can actually maybe rotate. It could go that side where we may even, because Di Lorenzo is actually an attacking fullback. It's just because he's been asked by Mancini to play that role to
Yeah,
allow
it's always been that kind of style, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he has got it in him. I don't remember if you saw the Austria game where like it was ridiculous, like 90th minute, or it was way into extra time, and he was flying up that wing. So they could actually reverse and maybe make Emerson as a wing, or they can even switch through at the back by bringing Tolo in the side, which is what he did against Spain in extra time. So there are various different situations, and I'm not even entirely sure that England won't switch to a back three with a wing back. So it's all up there. It's all up there. It's going to be a tactically how they display their teams on Sunday will be.
It's definitely
there's definitely something happening in the pipeline, I think.
So I feel like obviously you could see this, like this is you would say this is the attack with this kind of front five almost, Yeah, it always has. It used to be Stanisolo, but now it's Emerson, and then it's Verratti and Barella that push up with the front. Insigne would tuck in,
Yeah,
and
unlike a very Italian side, they try to win the ball high up, don't they? They try to be aggressive, really high up the pitch.
And I've always noticed, have you noticed that Chiesa or sometimes, I can't remember how you see this guy's name, Berardi.
Berardi,
yeah. They always will go left if Emerson he comes in, so it kind of like forces this like stretch across the back four. So then obviously the more space, the more likely, you've got Barella coming in a pass and then being able to go left, or you know what I mean. And then that's what happened when they faced Belgium. Like they pushed this pressing. Verratti's. I don't know how he still has the legs, man. Sometimes because he's always pushing, he's always pressing. He puts a lot of pressure on, and I think when, like, just for example, just say this was Alderweireld rather than Maguire. He passed it out. They tried to play it from the back. He passed out Verratti, and then it was Barella. It was here, and then Verratti passed it right through to him, and then he only went on and scored.
Yeah.
So they always play this kind of attacking from the front. It's quite the opposite of what we've It's always
very fit side, very fit team to do things like that for 90 minutes. It says.
Injured.
No. I've just got it set up for like how they set up on the last games. We don't know if we obviously can talk about if these who should start and where should start. But but obviously I think if you're talking about this is how they're going to play. They've played like this all tournament. I think they're just still going to do this high pressure, playing with this front three, this front five, and then just pushing pressure. Trying to force out the depth. I just feel if England play a back three, it's going to be a nightmare game. But I don't know about you guys. And you look at it, And I think, what do you see as the weaknesses, mate? Because I see a couple of weaknesses, but it's very, very light. I used to both of these guys well on.
For England or Italy?
We're still in Italy, yeah.
For them, for me, listen. I said this a while back. I think the occasion itself. I mean, to be honest with you, both teams in this level in this stage are very inexperienced. I mean, Italy have been there before, but not with these players. With the exception of Bonucci and Chiellini, we've got a pretty new side compared to what they were in 2016, which was the last competition. So that will play a massive part. And then the occasion, you see the home turf thing, the home fans. It could be a very it could be good for you, or it could be a bad thing for you as well, because if the nerves are not holding up, that can really topple. So I think it'll be a game of nerves, and the first 15 minutes will really, both teams are going to try and dictate the way they want to play this game. And that will prove, I think that would be a massive thing. So it'd be interesting, the tactical battle, first 15, and the tempo that each team want to play. That to me is going to be more important than any other situation. But regarding the weaknesses, to me, they got to try and get behind on behind. They try and get behind their fullbacks, in my opinion. I don't think Immobile's got enough to get behind either of the two centre backs. He's going to play in front of them a lot of the time, I think. But I think the midfielders are the ones that go into the box, the ones that throw themselves in. I think could be the massive battle there. From my point of view, you've got to try and rattle Rice and Phillips to try and get them to go in a way they don't want to go. I think that's going to be Verratti and Barella's going to be massive in that. I think that could be the area. And then the flanks, like I said, the flanks are going to be the area we've got to operate.
What about you, Will?
Without unbalancing too much. What do you reckon, Will?
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Do you see any weaknesses in this Italian side? I'm saying, because we're talking about like how they could win and they can do this pushing and pressure. Like they can keep doing the same style, but do you see any weaknesses?
Well, I think Jorginho, while he can be a positive, can also be a weakness, right? As we've seen in the league,
of course,
where he's prone to a blunder here and there or an off match, especially when it seems like Chelsea are under pressure. Looking at his performance in the Champions League final, didn't he come off after like 56 minutes?
Believe so. I think that's also tying it in what I think is probably their only weakness. I don't know if you read, but like when they did the post-match interviews and stuff, that Bonucci was saying that was one of the hardest games they played was against Spain, and he's played a lot of games, he's the fact is that like it was Chiesa came off and it was Berardi who came on from Pineza, Belotti, Locatelli came on as well. So like I genuinely think maybe that they might not be able to get the best out of like they can't get a full 90 out of them, because of how hard they played straight in the extra time, and then so could you maybe?
Yes, to me saying that is the reason why is because the way you kind of have it here is that, and while if they're not going to score a bunch of goals, leaving Jorginho on his own against Kane, Sterling, Saka, Mount.
It's still got these back three, And,
but what I'm saying is normally one single midfielder isn't going to be enough.
Yeah, true.
Stop Sterling, because Sterling's pace, right in behind there, is going to draw one or two of those center backs deeper, which is going to open up holes for. Then you have basically a 2-on-1 on the far side of the pitch, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'll come into what I think the way I think England could win and score is what you're talking about. So I mean, you might as well go on to England, man. Like when you look at that team,
both defenses, both centre backs lack pace, don't they? Really, England's been getting covered a lot by Walker. He's been the biggest asset for them because he's got them out of a lot of sticky situations. And I think as well, Bonucci and Chiellini are not the most. They're very clever, very intelligent. They read the game very well, but they play with that. They play with their head massively. Chiellini's 37 now, so he has to use his head. So the pace, both centre backs, may be an issue. The difference is Sterling, I feel more than Kane in that aspect, can exploit that massively. And I don't think Immobile is the most quickest forward there. So I think that the likes of Chiesa, like Sterling, could be the problem for both defenses. I believe.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I think Italy will just need that one, like passing through Jorginho, going to Verratti. He overloads. The ball comes in, gives it to Cine. Cine gives it Immobile, and then these players come through and then score. Yeah, that's the way I see them breaking it down. But unfortunately, as you're saying, the crux is it's going through Jorginho.
It's the midfield. It's the midfield. That's what it would be. There'll be one. Yeah.
And does Italy have a second kind of defensive-minded midfielder that they could run in like a 3-4-3?
They've got obviously Locatelli will be the first reserve. He's there, but we got a Brian Cristante, which is a Roma player. He's really Jorginho's deputy. in that squad. He hasn't had much. And then we've got other players like Pessina, who's one of the attacking midfielders who's normally alternates with Barella or Verratti. But yeah, Locatelli can play that role very well. He gives us a little bit more physical presence, and he's a really good box-to-box player as well. He likes to throw himself in. But in regards to actually the replacement per se in that holding midfield, it's only Brian Cristante that we have that replace, and he hasn't played much football. So
Now we're just going on to England, mate. We've got an England boy here finally. One of them. Hello.
It's coming home. It's coming home. I haven't heard that in the last few days at all.
He's gone.
Some of the comments are making me laugh, mate. I'll tell you this.
I know. Yeah.
No, what I'm thinking is just, because especially if Saka's playing on the right.
I wish I never brought him in, mate. That's
a lot of pace.
I'll bring him in. It's fine.
No, he's not. He's not there anymore. He's gone.
If Saka, because Saka is quite pacey as well. Foden can be an issue over there too.
Mm-hmm.
It depends how Gareth wants to play, Will, doesn't it? I mean, Saka gives you out of all the wingers that England have to play on that side, Saka's the one that helps out a little bit more than, say, the others are more attacking minded, aren't they? Saka gives the team a little bit more of a defensive. It's a bit more of a pragmatic move, really, from England's point of view.
Is it just me, or did England look far more dangerous with Grealish on the left and Sterling on the right?
Yeah,
totally. It seemed like the first half of the game when Jack wasn't there, it was very kind of drummy, kind of dull. But as soon as he came in, you had Sterling attacking on that right hand side, and then Grealish kind of sucking in defenders there, which was giving more space. It just seemed like they were able to spread that very defensive Denmark, because at that point in time, Denmark was just kind of sitting there behind the ball.
Well, what Grealish does for England is similar to what Insigne does for Italy. It's that sort of. Have you noticed as well, though, with Kane, he almost believes that he's going to get a goal with Grealish on the pitch more than say Sterling on that side. He seems to he seems to figure out what Grealish is going to do. He knows if he makes a certain movement, Kane goes to a certain spot in the box, and he knows the ball's going to kind of get there to him.
I think the reason why is because Sterling. I don't think Sterling is a very tactical player. I think his footballing IQ is quite low. And the fact that Jack Grealish can be in a half step and flip a pass right in on top of Harry Kane's head at any moment.
What?
You know what I mean? Because he'll see and sense that.
I'll say it's not that his IQ is low. His IQ is very selective, shall we say. He's very specific. What he does best and his greatest strength is his runs. The man never goes offside, man. He always makes these amazing creative runs. But getting to England anyway, I feel
creatively though, whereas Jack is dangerous not only on his, you give him a yard of space, he's going to put one in the top corner, but he'll also at any moment just make this pass into either someone at the far post or Kane in the middle of the box or back into a midfielder filling in that gap in the half space. That's the danger I think Grealish has over some of the other players.
For me, they could, all three of them could play. They could play with Sterling, Jack Grealish, and Kane, but they probably would have to have something a bit more just to solidify the three in midfield. Maybe they would have to drop Mount and maybe put someone else that can kind of give them a bit more grit about them, so they're not completely exposing the defense.
Or Foden,
play him instead of when they set the cam instead of Mount.
Well, I'd rather play Foden as a cam, which he's done sometimes for City, especially when De Bruyne's been injured.
I think Gareth sees Mount really well there. I think he's one of those players that Gareth really rates. And I know what your feeling is towards Mount, Will, and I understand.
Or what about Henderson?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They would have to solidify. It can be achieved. It can be done, and just let them three, give them the freedom to do what they want to do, and they have, and the midfield kind of solidifies it a little bit more. That's all. It protects the defense.
Yeah. So as I was thinking with these points, let's get back to this thing. you know, you've got the strengths, man. This is just half of some of the players they can choose. You know, the squad depth allows such a variety. The way they could play, you know, and I mean, give credit where credit's due for Southgate. He has set up tournament football, and he's set up his system not to concede goals. I mean, they haven't conceded a goal in open play. As I was saying, the fact they had Germany, you know, 3 fullbacks for one guy. Do you know what I mean? He's set up. They also don't aggressively press. I don't know if you've noticed that, because I always think when I was watching the Denmark game, when I was watching it back, I was like, they're really good. Some of the best times you see them is when they're keeping them in their box and then they drop off. And then I started looking at highlights, and then you start seeing the fact is maybe that seems to be what he does, that he doesn't fully play aggressive constantly. He plays aggressive for 10, 15 minutes, and the team goes back to passive, and then they play aggressive for 10, 15 minutes again. And it's like as if you try to, play so that you don't have a lot of errors or chances, keep randomness out, you know, when you're trying to push through so that you can try and get the goal in that 10, 15 minutes, but then don't keep pushing and then you're making a mistake, you know, get caught in the break or something like that, you know. And I think if they're going to play like they have played, I would see them not going for a back three. They can do that if they want, you know, like they can switch into a back three, but we've always seen that Walker's always staying back and like Shaw is always the one to be overlapping. That's why I feel if you had Ferenzi in instead, you know, then you could maybe catch this overlap, you know.
This game will also be decided via the bench. I think the bench will play a massive part during, and they both have quite a bit of ammo. Yeah. I think England's got a little bit more ammo. If I'm being completely fair, I think they have a bit more sport for choice. It's just how well Gareth uses them in the right moments of the matches. That's all.
But also, so as I was saying, this is how they would play that three. So I've actually seen it. I don't know if you've noticed it. Like Rice will actually drop into the left centre back position, and then these two will play in a double pivot, and then the right backs actually play like full wing backs. You know?
Yeah. They're really high up.
So do you know what I mean? Like it's just like they can play any way they want, you know, kind of thing. And I think the way that England will, I think the England fans won't be the 10th man, definitely. But the way that Spain scored is, I think, if England should really focus on, because they can do that. When I looked back at that, the way that happened was rather than Verratti, it wasn't Verratti, it was Pineda who was in, right? Yeah. Pineda was caught high up, right? So just say this was Spain, right? And Insigne had to drop back, and they were like this, right? They were kind of like a kind of.
Was it Locatelli? It wasn't Pessina. I don't think he came on Pessina.
I'm pretty sure it was Pessina that got caught. It might have been Locatelli. One of them, whoever the guy, one of them was caught up here, right? Yeah. And they weren't in their usual like this kind of formation, you know, where one's covering. Yeah. This was Morata, you know, and so they actually were able to get a quick pass off, and Morata came in and was able to play off. It was all Dani Olmo, right? So that would have been Phillips, right? And then he played off him. Chiellini saw it coming and came to it.
Played it around
him. And Chiellini obviously can't do that turn. Came in and scored. So if you look at that as a problem, right, I feel that is where England will get their best chance, is playing this kind of, maybe playing a bit more defensive, drawing Italy in, and Kane doing what he did for Tottenham a lot of the time, which was coming in to the midfield. Because if you're
England, do you play a 3-5-2 with Kane and Rashford up top, though?
You could, yeah. But I mean, even if they have this system, right? So I mean, if
Kane doesn't have the pace that Morata has, though.
But he doesn't need the pace, man, because he could just use these, these half centers here, right? And one of either Mount or Phillips, because Rice always stays back, right? Because that's what they have been doing, is they'll go into these half centers.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, the reason why Morata scored there is because he dribbled.
It's that turn.
But Kane can. Do you not think Kane can turn and pass?
Do you know what it was
like a bus?
But Kane turns, but if you look at when he turns, he's looking for the immediate pass, or can I cut that? Can I cut that part of the pitch where you got Mark? Can I get a through ball there? Morata's intention was very clear. Once he turned, he was driving straight into that defense. He had Olmo close, and they just, like I said, because the Italians were caught. They were a bit caught in the situation. Chiellini had to do something, and they played it around. So it was very poignant. It was very straight at the heart of that defense. Once he turned, we knew because we know him very well from Serie A. We like, do not let him turn because he's going to drive straight at the defense. Kane wouldn't do that. Kane
doesn't
turn.
drive like that.
Yeah, he doesn't drive in that same way.
Well, all you need Kane to do is to come into the midfield, right?
Which he'll do.
Yeah,
and then
Sterling will drive like that. So if you have Sterling cutting inside,
exactly what I mean. So if
space.
say, I mean, you can have a 5 or a 4v3 situation happening here. So say if they're being a bit more conservative and they don't push, both of them push up, right? So now you've got a 4v3 situation. So where does Chiellini come out to here, and then Kane passes it to Mount, and then Saka's completely wide to do whatever he wants to come around at the back post, or and then Sterling can come back and round De Lorenzo. You've got all this. That is where I feel England will hit them, is on trying to break them as they do a transition. So like Immobile does a Mobile and dribbles and hits Maguire. Maguire able to pull it out to Rice, and then Kane drops in, and now Mount comes up, and now all of a sudden you've got Saka and Sterling against,
Don't forget though, Ginty, that we were playing Spain, which are the masters of possession football.
Yeah,
they
true.
know how they. That's what Bonucci was saying in that interview. They said in 2 years, nobody had made them run the way that Spain did for 120 minutes. They killed us in that possession football. We know that about Spain. They hadn't shown much of it during this tournament, but in that particular game, and I was there to see it personally, they absolutely run us ragged, left to right, right to left. And they were killing us with those movements. And then what shocked us was Morata being substitute to begin with. They played the 6 midfielders. So when Morata came on,
they played with no striker on it.
They played with no striker, and when he came on, we was already starting to it was starting to go legs wise, and he came in, and that's where we'd been run rugged for a whole 60, 70 minutes. So I don't know if England have that. They can do it. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they can do it in the amount of times or as frequent as Spain can. They might have their moments. I just don't think it will happen in the way that Spain.
I could be wrong. I could be
wrong in saying that.
Came back for quite a bit of time. Not so much that Denmark, they were running Denmark ragged, but Denmark couldn't get the ball out of their own half for a good 30 minutes at times.
Yeah.
So what do you? Yeah, when you go, sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, the reason only, if you're gonna target Chiellini's pace, honestly, when have you ever seen Kane drop a shoulder and then turn the opposite direction and beat a guy on a turn? I've never seen it. His first touch is probably better than any striker that I've ever seen. And usually when he's turning a guy or beating a guy with his back to goal, it's because it's with a one-touch pass to somebody, to Sonny making an overlapping run or something.
He does it. I meant like he drags a defender out and then he takes a touch, he passes it to Mount, and then he can try and start making a run, because Mount now has, or whoever pushes up Phillips, now Phillips, if say Phillips on the right, he now has 2 options, because Emerson is pushed up here. He'll be trying to track back. He now has 2 options, right? So Kane can slow and take a turn and get into that position. Or if Chiellini says, right, I'm going to cut that passing lane, then Saka can come in and then drive forward, and then Kane can start moving into the box, for an easy header or something. That's what I'm saying is if you have to try and catch them on this transition where you can get Kane to come in, and then the fact that this midfield, because they push, but like they do push so high up that's where you catch it. That's what I was basically trying to say, was that kind of situation. But do you think this is how Italy will line up this formation here?
My feeling, yes. My feeling is yes, they will line up in that way. The only doubt I have personally is that Chiesa may be used as a super sub. to give us the energy that we lacked in a
And rather
second half.
have
Against Spain,
Berardi.
has Berardi starting and maybe Chiesa to mix it
Berardi is
up a
also a lot more like he can hold the ball a lot better. I feel like he's more protective of the ball.
Yeah. Chiesa's more of a solo player, but Berardi, you got him. Yes, he can be an individual, but he's also a left-footed player, isn't he, on the right-hand side? So that could be a solution where he's cutting inside and maybe trying to get off a shot. Chiesa's more direct, more pacey, but he's also, in regards to how the team movements, he doesn't always get them right. He doesn't always get them right. He's got like a very individual trait about him, which is very good. Don't get me wrong. But I think that could be used as a tool in the second half. It's just my feeling. But the rest of the defence, I definitely see that defence starting. I see Jorginho there. I see Verratti, Barella. Yeah, Locatelli may have a chance, but I can't see it. And Immobile, I'm not sure. I think he will start for Mancini. I think he will start, but I wouldn't mind personally seeing Belotti start instead, because I really liked him in that 20 minutes, 30 minutes that he played. He was more. He contributed a lot more as a team player than Immobile did in the whole match. And he's been disappointing in the last 2 games. Immobile. I think that the level of football is getting higher and higher, and now he's started to show a little bit. So that will be my.
So this is yours then. So, Will, what is you represent England just now? So, what do you feel is starting 11?
I don't know.
Will.
I can't be a good representative for that, simply for the fact that I think Gareth Southgate is a git. So, and though he's done well in what he's done, I would have played a completely different system throughout this tournament. I would have been putting teams away 3 and 4-0, or 4-1, 5-2.
That's what you would like to see, wouldn't it, Will? You don't actually think Gareth's going to do that, is he?
No, I think he's going to set up super pragmatic. I think he's going to sit back and be very conservative and try to take it down to the 75th minute, and then try to open it up by bringing Jack Grealish on. So if I was Italy, I would try to get 2 quick. If you can get 2 in the first 45, I think England will be scrambling to figure out what to do. I think you win that match. You win this match by hitting him early, quick. Yeah.
Do you think this will be the lineup, or do you think it still will be the same lineup that faced Denmark? Really make any changes?
I mean, Sterling will play. Mount will play when he shouldn't. Rice and Phillips will probably play. Maguire, Stones.
I mean, they've played every game, haven't they? So
yeah,
Saka may be a change. You may see Foden in there or Sancho in there instead of Saka.
Who would you prefer? Who would you think would be better, Foden or Sancho? I think Foden, probably, because
I think Foden is who I would play.
Yeah. Does he keep against this high pressing, pacey kind of wingers? Does he keep Maguire and Stones, or does he finally bring back Mings? Maybe he's slotting for one of the older boys.
No.
Southgate
tends to play his.
Henderson. Do you think Henderson should deserve a start?
Henderson. I think Henderson should deserve. Sorry, if I was doing it, I would play it. I would swap Mount out for Henderson, and then if I was the coach, and then I would have Rice and Phillips playing higher up the pitch, because Henderson's more of a deep lying playmaker, right?
Yeah.
Give them a little more freedom to come through, and because Italy doesn't really have anyone with enough pace to really get at Stones and Walker. Maguire is a weak link in that, because he turns like a bus too. But that's how I would set it up, and I would let Phillips. I'd have Rice kind of hang in, playing in his box to box, and let Phillips have a little bit more reign, because he's been really creative. Rice can be creative as well too. That's how I would play, and then I would probably throw Sterling on the left and have Grealish on the right and Grealish on the left. That's what I would do.
The options are insane, honestly. Like, they are insane. I know. I just sort of
Grealish on the right, Foden on the
Grealish on the left, Foden,
the other
and
side,
Sterling on the right.
Yeah. I would do that. I'd play those three personally. That's the ones that I've seen. Like I said, like you said, the Denmark, and that really took hold. It's a shame. It's a true shame that Grealish went off at a time where we felt, or I
They could have
felt
scored
certainly,
another. They gave up
yeah,
so early.
yeah. I
Held the
felt that
clock like 5 minutes.
that would have been a real eye opener of potentially what it would have been like to fill that three in the final. I just think he took that option too soon to take him off, and we was like, man, we just wanted to taste to see, what can this guy bring to the team, and he just wasn't given an opportunity. I understand why he did it, and it paid off, thankfully for him, because I can imagine how it would have gone down in this country if that had been if they're come stuck in that situation, but they didn't, so he got away with it. But it gave us a sense where we would have liked to have seen Grealish really go at them in the time that he was on, just to see, let the guy have his moment, and it just seems to cut it short again, which is I know what Bob said about Rashford. It's a very valid point, very, very, very valid point, Bob. I just don't feel with Rashford, given the tournament and how it's gone, how he's going to be thrown in a final, starting in the starting lineup. I think Sancho is ahead of him. If he's going to go that way, I think that Sancho would get the nod ahead of him, and then Ray Rashford could be the player that comes off the bench to inject some pace and power.
Sitting with like 5 at the back and trying to hit people on the counter. I mean, almost to the point where you have Maguire, Stones, Walker in the back three, Shaw and Trippier on the field playing
too much
fullbacks, and then Phillips and Rice in between there with Rashford, Kane.
He doesn't want to concede that goal. I think his thinking is, if he doesn't concede the goal at any given moment, even if it has to take in the last 15 minutes, he can score one because he's got so many options.
I mean, that's how he set up this whole tournament, as I said. Not just
and it's worked. To be fair to him, it has worked. It's not maybe your style or mine or yours, Ginty's style of giving the talent that there is on display, but that's the route that he's gone, and that route has earned him a place in the final. And hard one to argue now. It's just, it doesn't matter how you play.
He feels that his center backs are just shit or something. I mean, why is he so?
But yeah, on to from shit centre backs that to a question about everyone we love that Anthony has here as a little audio clip. So I'll just bring this in. So let's see that. There we go.
What's going on, Ginty? Obviously, I want to know your scoreline prediction, but I also have a question specifically about Harry Kane. So let's say, I know you wouldn't want this, but let's say England win on Sunday, but Harry Kane doesn't score or get an assist. Do you think that fans will continue to say that Harry Kane doesn't show up for big games? Personally, I feel like he showed up big time to get them into the finals. And so I would hope that would carry over for him. But let's say he has a quiet finals. They still win. Do people give him a pass now and say he's world class, that he does show up for big games? Or is this something where he will still be considered, someone who's not there when the moment matters?
Good question.
So what do you think, guys? That's a nice little audio clip from Anthony, the co-host, who is unfortunately can't be here today. But thoughts?
Will, do you want to go, Will?
Yeah. So for me, I think as long as England scores quickly, that won't be an issue. Kane's problem is when it goes into the last 15 to 20 minutes, and he's got to get a goal in order to achieve something. Or if they go down 2 goals early, that's when that pressure is going to mount on Kane, and I think he tends to fall off. If England scores first, and if they score semi-early, I think that's the pressure is starting to be taken off a little bit, especially if they score 2 before Italy scores. I don't think that's an issue. For me, it's like if you remember during the Liverpool Champions League final match, it was after we fell down when the first minute in that penalty. That it's almost like Kane starts trying too hard. He loses his fluidity. And it's the same thing against Zagreb, right? When he's in the box and that header's coming in. 9 out of 10 times, Harry Kane buries that header in the back of the net, and this time he heads it right at the keeper. And it's I think it's more of a fact when it's like the pressure is on so high that it's like I have to score.
Yeah.
He kind of loses a little bit of his cool. Like Kane works best when he's calm. If he gets wound up, he's not.
You've noticed that during Spurs games, man, that after about 60, 70 minutes they were drawn or not winning, you can see him hold the ball, and rather than let off a pass to someone or play it back and try and play cool, he goes forward, and you can see it, and as you're saying that he thinks that I have to do this myself.
Yeah.
And he will take a wild shot, or try and run past a couple of players, and sometimes it works out for him, sometimes it doesn't. But you as you're saying, you're right that like when he starts, he does take on that mantle of like, I have to do this on my own, which can sometimes be a detriment. What do you think, Iggy?
The difference is at Spurs, he takes on that role because it really is sometimes if he doesn't do it, nobody else really won't. Yeah. And that's the role that he has at Spurs, and it's good or bad. That's just how it is. It's with the goals, we've always relied heavily on Kane and Son because outside of that, there's very little contribution. So I can see that way of thinking. Yeah, it can be a detriment, but that's where the thought process is. It for England. Thankfully, there are other options, and Sterling has stepped up in especially the beginning stages where he wasn't firing. In answer to the question from Anthony, it's two things. First thing, it's the first final that he's appearing where he's actually fit. He's not come back from injury or anything like that. So he's going there in a good condition, and in a condition where he has been scoring regularly in the last. We know pretty much the knockout round. So that's already in the mindset is different. The physical condition is very different this time around. So there shouldn't be an issue. However, should he not score and the team wins, which is different to what happens with the other final that he's played, he's not done well and he's lost, which is why they think, well, why hasn't the best player not turned up for a final? They've resulted in losing. But in this case, if he doesn't score and they win, what the hell does it matter? The team have won. England and the nation have won a cup. Would win a cup that I hadn't won since 60 odd years. So it wouldn't too much. When you win, these things come secondary. These things are very much highlighted when one of your talisman has not turned up for a game and have gone on to lose it. That's where you get all the hype around it. But so I hope that answers the question a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that if he does have a quiet final, then it will put that nail in the coffin, because everyone will remember this final because it's the first final in 55 years. People won't remember, apart from Spurs fans, the Champions League final from when he didn't show up, or the Carabao Cup final where he didn't seem to show up. So
yeah.
I think if he doesn't show up again on Sunday, he's going to always have that asterisk next to his name for some people, for his detractors and his haters. Not going to be for me, but
it is. It's just it's the haters. This is exactly what it is. It's the haters.
Give some ammunition. That's what I feel.
Look how we turned up for that cup final and Carabao Cup. Look at the situation leading up to that final. It wasn't ideal. It's not the same situation as currently England have, where they've come from a powerful. Yes, the opponents were what they were. You got to say that, but it's the environment is different. His condition, physical condition is different. Mental condition is different, and he knows that the pressure. He has the pressure of the goal scorer because that's what he is for England. But it's not solely all down to him to get the win, which is a completely different setup to what Tottenham have. And I think you're right. I think it would be for his own personal ego. It would be good if he has a good final and wins it. For his own, but in regards to the nation, if they win that match and they win a trophy, it doesn't matter. It would be the haters that would be going after him a little bit. But how can you go after someone that would just potentially be part of a team that's won a cup a trophy is in 60 odd years. It'd just be stupid to do that. That's just like man hunting sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. This question from Darren MS. He says, "Who has been your player of the tournament?" Would you like to start off, Will?
I don't know. You have to give me some time to think about that. I haven't really even thought about who's player of the tournament.
I mean, I can go, but I think have you got something first?
Yeah, the two teams are in the final. I would say let's start with them. I would say Sterling definitely will be in there. As much as everyone goes on Maguire, I think Stones has been incredible, as has Shaw. But it's very hard to say. There's a few players for England, to be honest with you, that have done well. But for us, the Italians, Spinazzola will definitely have to be in there. The goalkeeper Donnarumma's, whenever he's been called upon, he's been there. Barella's been a very good surprise. It's a good surprise. But there are other players, Sheik. She comes to mind. And do you know what? I really liked from Portugal, Renato Sanchez. I thought he was decent. I thought he was better than what I visualized. He surprised me in a good sense, and it's just a shame they went out because I felt he had a few gears more. He had a few more games in him that would have really shone a bit more. But he really impressed me. Those are immediately, if I have to think of the first 3-4 players, those will be the ones that kind of come straight to mind.
Obviously, everyone watching, if you want to comment who you think will be there, I mean, that's
of course,
Højbjerg.
I'm trying to name players that Højbjerg's been outstanding the whole season, even for us at Spurs. It's been amazing. So of course, we can say Højbjerg too.
Top one of top assisters, wasn't he? Yeah. But I think Sterling Kane are obviously the favourites because if England will win or anything like that, as Danny was saying. Damsgaard,
very good point, Danny. Very good point. I forgot about him. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I was surprised you didn't mention what we were talking about earlier with Jorginho.
Freaking number 3 on the bookies right now.
Yeah,
mate. Amazing. He's been incredible. I know. It's so hard because I feel like if I mention too many Italians, I'm being really one dimensional.
Yeah, I'll do it for you because I will mention that one, and then
I can mention Chiellini. I can go on, but it's just I feel like I'm too one way if I've mentioned too many of our boys.
But also, I mixed up the first time because I mixed up my other Italian choice, who is not really being talked about much. No, Chiellini, I would say, being that old general at the back,
37,
coming on and just it really kind of he seems like a bit of a just like
he's being mentioned. He's 10-1 on.
Yeah, so I mean, so he came back from injury as 36, and then like when he's at the penalties, he's jostling Jordi Alba. You can see that he's like completely unfazed about the immense like. Do you know what I mean? He's completely fine, free killer, and doesn't care.
Ginty, that was all mind games, Ginty.
Do you know what I mean? That's what I mean.
36, but he looks like he's about 50.
Mate, he's been around forever.
He looks like he's been around forever. For like 60 years, though.
He always looked. He looked like that at 23. If you look at photos of him 15 years ago, he doesn't look. It maybe his hairline's a bit more forward, but he looks exactly the same.
The wrinkles on his face. He looks older than me.
Yeah, that's also a good shout. Dolberg's always been pretty good, and Patrick Slick. But
listen, Denmark have been amazing. Full stop. There's not Denmark as a country and as a team have been amazing.
I'll also say as not because it's
Simon Carr
would be my choice, but I would say as an outside shot because of what he did in that tournament, Ronaldo. Because he did score 4 goals in 5 games, even though they didn't get far, he scored. Do you know what I mean? And he also broke the.
He's got 5 goals.
Oh, sorry, 4. I basically the 4 goals in 5 games, and then there was the last one. I forgot about that. But he broke the top goal. I mean, he was the top Euros top goal scorer now. Well,
what can one say? What can one say on Ronaldo? What more can you say on Ronaldo? That hasn't been said. It's just. Yeah. Incredible.
If you had to, out of all the players mentioned, would you have to, who would you pick out of all the players mentioned? Iggy.
The other players not mentioned, as
No,
in
of all the players mentioned or not mentioned, if you had to pick one, if it was like down to you, who are you picking?
my player of the tournament. It will be based on whoever lifts the cup, because really and truly,
It's hard to make a choice right now.
it's
What if
hard.
Hayne comes out and scores a brace tomorrow? I mean, obviously he's player of the tournament.
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean?
I think whoever, more often than not, whoever the team that goes on to win a major tournament is often not only star of the tournament.
All right.
It's
Yeah, you're right.
the
I'll
Golden
rechange it
Ball and all the
because
Player of the Year, FIFA Player of the Year. There's all of that.
Sterling and Kane
UEFA.
are obviously still favourites, and they're going to whatever they do might cement their choice. But so out of the teams that are not in it anymore, what would you say has been the best player then for you?
Ooh. All the players. Let's have a look. We've got Denmark. I've really enjoyed watching them. Damsgaard, like Danny mentioned earlier, I did really forget. Will just touched upon that. The Denmark captain I thought was fantastic. The goalkeeper Schmeichel was another one.
Yeah.
Getting
lasers in the eye and still saving it.
Yeah.
The cheap laser. All I gotta say.
Yeah, that was at the. Let's not go. I know what. Bob touched upon that yesterday, and I felt that whilst he feels that there's certain England, that there's sort of England getting attacked a little bit. I thought you try to the booing and all the racism remarks. I think the two things have got to be separated and kind of isolate the incident itself. It was wrong. It was wrong to boo their national anthem, and it was wrong to be putting lasers in people's eyes. That alone.
I mean, what a cheap laser, though, to be this big on the side of his face.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's just.
I've got little lasers this big that I can fit in my pocket that would have been a pinpoint right in his eyeball.
But yeah, it's just wrong. But anyway, to answer, I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna pick a Danish player, and I'm gonna say Damsgaard, because Danny brought it up, and I thought I've forgotten about him, and I think Denmark's elimination the other night was massively down to the manager taking him and the other player, which, forgive me, I've forgotten his name. There was two of them he took off, and they were the two best players, and I thought he took them off too early, and I think that played a massive part in Denmark going out. So I'm gonna go with Damsgaard. I enjoy Sheik as well. I thought Sheik was good. That goal, I'm sorry to say, Jim, but that goal was just unbelievable, man. It's like, to do something like that is incredible. But the other one.
Give me a name, mate. Give me a name.
Right, a name. Right, Damsgaard. Let's go with
Damsgaard. I'm going to go for, as you mentioned, Slick. I think he carried that team far. You could see that he's got that quality, and to score that absolute worldie, mate. Like that's got to be one of the goal of tournaments. So
incredible.
Yeah, and a lot of people were saying this about wanting the Summer to replace Lloris, but Summer's actually, I don't know, guys. Summer's actually older than Lloris, which is nuts. You wouldn't think he is, but he is actually. He's like 2 years or a year older, so we'd actually get less time out of him. At his peak, because goalkeepers getting to their peak about 33 to 35, I would say, and he's just coming out of his peak. So, he's definitely amazing. Definitely deserves a move away from bloody Bush and Gladbach.
Yeah. No, he should be able to get a better move than that.
I do think we need to try and tie down a keeper that's going to be our keeper for the next 5 to 10 years, rather than just 1 or 2 years. I think we do need to do that.
The two guys up front. Sorry, I'm just through now. The two guys up front that played for Ukraine were very good, especially some of the big boy, really, really strong. Strong fella. I don't know, Yarmolenko and there was the other fellow. I can't remember his name now. It slipped my mind, but Somorenko or something like that. He played up front for guys in the comments. If anyone remember his name, the number 9 that played for Ukraine I really liked the look of him. Young player that could go on to big things.
What about you, Will? Player of the tournament.
Come on, Will.
From the teams that are out, what has been the best player?
From the teams that are out?
Yeah.
The person I liked the most was Damsgaard. Like, the person I enjoyed watching the most. Person I was like, hey,
exciting.
I'd like to have him.
Mm-hmm.
And then also too to give Chisi too from Italy. He's been a player that I'm like, man, we should probably pick him up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So then we move on to Connor Boy's question here, who says, I'm going to go the exact opposite of Darren and ask what has been the player or team that has been the biggest disappointment this tournament for yourselves.
That's easy for me, but I'll let you go, Will.
The team that's been the biggest disappointment for me was Portugal.
Or player.
If I just do team, it's Portugal.
Okay.
Right.
I had them going a lot farther in the tournament than they did. They should have not lost to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
They completely lost their heads in that first half when those 2 own goals went in, and then it was just kind of downhill from there. And then against Belgium too, they could have nicked. They could have. You know,
I mean, it's not a terrible team to go out to, though, is it?
No, but it's disappointing because I don't rate Belgium nearly as highly as some other people do.
Yeah, good shout,
you guys
Danny.
in the comments. Yeah, that was everyone's dark horse, wasn't it?
Yeah,
not mine. France was my dark horse.
Listen, for me, I would have said Turkey, but then after I saw France, I can't go beyond France. France and the player Mbappe.
They're not as good as people say, though. They're not as good as people say.
To go out 3-1 up against Switzerland not long ago. They go. Not only did they take it to extra time, but they go on to lose it. That's got to be terrible. For me, for that reason, I'll give it to them. And Mbappe, how can you not? The guys didn't score a single goal in the whole tournament, and missed the decisive penalty. It missed the decisive penalty to eliminate the country. So for me, it's hard to look beyond those. Although Pogba came close as well, to follow that goal with that.
Yeah,
that you know.
But why is everybody always rate France as the favorites? Because they won last season and they finished in the final. France is going downhill.
I think they had enough to get into the semi-finals. Will.
Yeah.
I think they had enough to go into the semi-final. I think
it's obviously this is showing the lack of the managerial today. Deschamps is like
all
they've renewed this contract for next year. They prolonged it. I expected to see France in the semi-final against Italy, then Spain. I'll be honest with you. I didn't see a very good Spain leading up, but then I did start getting worried when they started getting high and high. And I think the guys
I think all flash, all substance. You got Rabiot and Mbappe's Rabiot's mom and Rabiot and Mbappe's dad fighting in the stands. I mean, there is no cohesion in this side at all. It is a team of 11 individuals.
Yeah.
It's not a team at all. It's a side of 11 individuals.
Yeah.
They have no teamwork.
What do you guys reckon about the Netherlands? I expected a little bit more. Normally, there's problems that the France have. Normally, it's Netherlands rather, that have those sort of internal wars. They've been notoriously known for them. But it seems to be that France have taken over from that. And obviously, with the exit, it all came to. So it may be like a little insight, as Will says, a little insight of the problems that we're having in the background.
Definitely. I thought
Netherlands would do better. I did think Netherlands would.
Definitely would think they would do better. I feel for my worst teams would be France and Germany, because the fact that how they slipped through.
I did rate Germany, man. I did rate Germany. The best thing about
they've been done for years.
Yeah. I know they've been done, but the fact that managers went from World Cup winner to bum sniffer, it's just like how far he's fallen, man.
That's because
how far that team's fallen. Because everyone was talking. Yeah, you go.
His time was done. How long's he been there? 13 years, guys.
Yeah,
he's already gone out, mate. Before the tournament started,
he's out.
He was out of a job before.
He already knew he was going. But the problem is that Germany, in their Bundesliga, has stopped focusing on developing German players, and now is the international market for everybody who's not German, right? I mean, like if you're an American, that's where you go first.
Yeah, because
if you're Korean, that's where you go first. If you're Japanese, that's where you go first. Yeah. If you're from anywhere outside of Europe, Germany is the Bundesliga is where you go. And so because of that, I've been saying this, and Jack and Nicky told me I was wrong, but obviously I was proven right. They have no young up and coming talent. In fact, for 2026, I think they'll end up leaving. I don't think they won't even
Make it.
qualify.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how bad I think it is.
No.
Because all those players will be coming at about 30. Most of them, Sané, Werner, about that time they'll be about 30.
All the people who are
about-
25 will be around 30.
That's
But
what I'm saying. They're
the
all
people
them
who are
are 25
already
now.
30 will be like
Oh, they're gone.
retired, which is half the team, right? One of the oldest squads out of in all of the Euros.
Yeah.
They need a massive injection for next year. You know, this year's massive for a lot of those countries because the World Cup's only in a year's time. So there's going to be a quick fix. But you're right, Will. In 2026, it could be a massive problem for these guys.
We're drinking with Regina soon, won't you?
Yeah.
I think it could be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're stacked with a bunch of. They have France. If you look at individual talent, and especially in the starting 11, you'd pick France all day. But the problem is this is a team sport. This isn't, this isn't MMA. This isn't boxing. This isn't golf, right? You're going out there having to work together, and I think the problem with the French side is
Egos.
they don't have a manager with enough balls to set to not pick some of these guys or to set them on the bench and play a more well-balanced team.
I mean,
they need to hire me as manager. I'd handle it.
I mean, like, just calling up Sissoko, man, like that's a travesty. But also the fact that, like, up front they have 300 plus. They have like nearly 400 million worth of like talent. Dembele, who didn't even really play, 100 million. Griezmann, 100 million. Mbappe, nearly 200 million. Benzema was like 50, 60 million when he went to Real Madrid. And I mean, it's like that, man. The fact that they have so much. That's just in the bloody
guys,
the front,
Sometimes, you know what it is, guys, that sometimes when you have too many options, it can also be a massive problem. But if sometimes you also see certain countries, they go to the World Cup and you think, how the hell did they not call up that guy or that player or that player or that player? This is the very reason, because certain individuals get selected and you can't have them all because there's too many egos in one room, and in a camp of potentially a month could be a hard thing to manage. And for me, a coach that manages or coach that coaches the team has to be a good selector, not a manager to manage like a club level.
Selector,
the personality. Gareth is not the best manager in world football, but he seems to have two things. He's a good selector, and he gets the bond of the players. There's no egos. You need to have no egos in that, and everything's for the team. If you can get that balance right, this is why Italy have done well. Normally, we've had better players that failed, and now we've got less talent but more team cohesion, and we make finals. The same way England have. You've got the talent, and you've got the 2 or 3 world-class players, maybe. But in regards to, I think, with what Gareth has done is unite the country, which is not easy to do when you've got so many players, like you said, 50, 100. You've got 100 million players in that very side. It's getting the balance right, because you too much of one and not enough of the other can tip the balance.
The reason why I called France a dark horse, and I didn't say at the time, and I probably should have. As soon as Rabiot was selected for the national team, France is done.
Yeah.
That guy right there in himself is so full of himself. I've never seen a bigger narcissist in football. Even Icardi is not as big a narcissist as Rabiot is. That guy literally turned down France for the World Cup because whatever reason, I'm not playing for him. If they don't want me to start, if they don't want me to do this, I'm not playing for
Was
them.
it like a Carlos Tevez? I'm going to Disneyland. I don't want to play for Argentina.
I mean, it's
characters, isn't it? Characters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like it's like Carlos Vela from Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think also, I was going to say, so that's my teams was France and Germany, but I think the worst players, obviously you've got to say Mbappe, everyone. I think he was everyone's shout to get the golden boot,
and the expectations.
And
but you know what? Get that much service though.
He didn't, but and then the other
fighting for the ball in the midfield. Give it to me. I'm going to do it.
Do you know? I can't remember if I read it or I watched a program about it, that where he's playing, because he's playing in League One, the competition is not a great. Paris Saint-Germain are going to walk that league. So what happens if you looked at when they zoomed in on Mbappe as he's approaching to take that penalty, his face, he went completely, he zoned out. He completely went because he must have thought to himself, what is this pressure that I'm feeling? What is it? He's never experienced it. He's never experienced it at PSG. He's not experienced it in that league for sure. So the only times he gets to experience it is maybe 5 games in the Champions League, and he's well covered in that team. He's got his back so well covered with. I mean, even more so with the transfers they're making now. He's going to have even more experience there to have his back. But there, in that moment, I saw a kid. He picked up the ball to take the penalty, and I zoomed in his face. And normally, 9 out of 10, when you zoom in the face, you can think that guy. Like I saw Jorginho, when I zoomed in his face, I knew he wasn't going to miss that penalty. But that night, when I saw Mbappe, I looked at him and thought, this guy is absolutely shit in his pants, and he hasn't experienced pressure like it. And that, for me, why he needs to get out of that league and really go and test himself. Either come here in England. Or go somewhere else where the league is more competitive, and that will, the quicker he gets used to that kind of pressure, the better for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think 100%. Yeah, he did bag 2 against Barcelona.
But Barcelona has the same problem that France does.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Barcelona got a lot of problems, guys. Barcelona have massive problems. I was
also going to say the other 2. I'd say possible shout for the biggest disappointment was Morata, because of just obviously, he did step up a little bit on the early game, but the amount of chances he missed, that shouldn't have been so much easier for Spain. I feel if he was he seems to be as I think it was Johnny Einstein from South Spurs. He said when he was watching him this year, he's a very big confidence player. If he fluffs his lines or just skies the ball, that's it. His head's kind of gone. And
what's really weird for me. Nowadays, it just really, and it almost makes me want to force my son to change positions. But it just surprises me about how many international sides don't have a striker, not a real one anyway, and don't have real center backs, like real ones.
Oh yeah, because I mean,
everybody's got 900 midfielders.
Yeah.
The art of defending is going out of the game. The way the rules are going, guys. The art of defending. I mean, I love defending. I love it. I wasn't never a defender myself when I used to play way back then, but I used to really enjoy watching the Italians and the art of defending. They used to have all these little tricks under their armor. They're not able to use that because you've got 250 cameras on every pitch. You've got the rules that are very, very pro attacking players and benefits every little thing to an attacking player. For a defender to Chiellini, have you noticed? Chiellini, if he was the way he was before, if he was to start playing now, he would struggle. But all the things that made him great were the things that he can no longer do now. You remember the corners when he used to hold the player, he wouldn't let him move. But you can't do things like that anymore. So the tackling, every tackle, sometimes you think, fucking hell, that was a really good tackle. The guy got the ball, he smashed him, but he got the ball clean. Foul, red card even. Sometimes you might come away with a red card. You're thinking, what did I do? I went for the ball. There was one guy in the tournament, if you remember, he was looking at the ball the whole way, he's got the ball, but he's got the man. It was bad, don't get me wrong, but his intention was never, he was looking there. How is he doing that? I think it was the Ukraine game where his leg went a bit back, if you remember.
Yeah.
That wasn't an intention. The guy's looking at the ball the whole way through. How is he? But you see what I mean? That kind of tackling.
It's not just that. It's also coupling with, I was listening to some of these coaching kind of podcasts and interviews and stuff, and they're talking about the fact that the way football has changed, it's playing out from the back. This idea of playing out the back, because then you keep possession. You're not going to lose anything. So they actually favor a lot of ball playing centre backs. So the art of defending, putting a tackle in, is kind of put to the second for a defender, which is so strange.
Ball handling tackle center back. That just means you're not developing.
But they that's what I'm saying. They prioritize ball holding and playing centre backs, because that's just the way the system going with the 3 to back, pass to there, pass out, play a pass out from the back. That's what a lot of coaches are saying, that's what's been happening is, It's like that kind of thing. So yeah, and
No, I just think you have kids growing up that just want to be midfielders. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's some boys out there who still like to put a tackle. I think Italy are probably one of the last bastions of good at defending young players coming through.
I'll be honest with you, the Chiellini is probably one of the last of that generation. Now you're going to see midfielders or people that are good enough to pass that play midfield that will be converted. Soon enough, we'll have a whole lot of midfielders playing at the back because they need to play football. Look what happened. I think Pep Guardiola was one of the first ones to put a midfielder alongside a centre back. He did it with Mascherano. He did it with what is that guy? Is it Martinez at Bayern Munich, where he was a midfielder playing at the back? He did it. He did it with So sooner or later, we'll start where midfielders will play at the back as they get older, especially.
Yeah, I think it also is just saying, that is true. But I think what I'm trying to say is that a lot of these, with the Premier League with money, they're bringing the best managers. They're bringing in Spanish, Italian. I mean, all these managers, and they're bringing this system. So you're starting to see at the top high levels this more playing. It's obviously it's not brand new.
Oh man, I see it right now. 3-4-3 is the new trend.
Yeah, exactly. But the one I'd last like to say would be Bruno Fernandes, mate. I think he was completely anonymous for the Portugal's first two games, and then they had a last crucial game against France, and he came on and almost gave a penalty away. I mean, and I think that's probably the last I would say is.
Yeah, you're right, Bob.
Yeah, Fernandinho, and also Fabinho for Liverpool.
Yeah, Fabinho. See what I mean? So there's always that one midfielder that's sooner or later. That's how it's. Yeah.
But,
very right.
I'd say for my worst players, I'd say that up there would be Bruno Fernandes, Mbappe, and Morata. And my worst teams were Germany and France. I mean,
do you know what? Fernandes is a weird one because I've spoken to a few Man United fans here in England. They're very hit and miss with him. They like him. Some of them really do not like him. They don't like his attitude. They don't like the fact that every time he does the no-look pass and it doesn't get to the player, he's moaning straight at the referee. It's not very appreciated 100% by his own fans. Dyer.
Not a good example,
man. Dyer used to be a center defensive mid, man. But definitely.
There you go. One of the comments had just said it. Bielsa played Martinez at centre back at Bilbao. Yeah. I just saw that, and I was just thinking it was already there. And I just think because of the game's changed, they started to do that. They're not playing out, and they maybe play one defender with one midfielder at the back. And thankfully, we like I said with Italy, we got one that in Bonucci who's now a defender, but he was an ex-midfielder and is excellent with the ball. So we get someone to play alongside him that's more gritty, if you like.
Thanks for that. Yeah, you didn't catch that one, but
no, that's all right. No worries.
Last question from Discord, which was Regina, the OG, the MVP mate of that Discord. She's saying, we're halfway through. What players do you think deserve to win the Ballon d'Or?
Halfway
through this year.
100% Harry Kane.
Harry Kane, yep.
Really?
I keep doing that.
I think he has to win something.
What about you in the comments as well? Who do you guys think?
I think he'll probably have to win something for them to give it to him, but I don't think there's a player who's been more influential in his side, more dominating in the game this year than Harry Kane.
It's wide open, isn't it?
I'll give you some higher Kane love, right, for this, right? 23 goals, 14 assists for that season. When I was looking it up and looking at the players that potentially do it, this was a crazy stat for me. I didn't realize that there was only 5 other players that have ever had the top goals and the top assist, but not even like at the same time, just having those accolades from one season or another season. And it's Andy Cole, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, Robin van Persie, Thierry Henry, and Didier Drogba. Those are Premier League legends, and you just feel that. And also the crazier stat is that I thought Henry did it, but apparently Henry didn't when I was looking it up. It was him and Andy Cole are the only 2 players to ever have the top, like outright, because Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank tied with someone for top goals, but outright top goals and top assists in the same time was Andy Cole in 1993 to 1994. That's how long ago like that was done, you know, and that's the kind of caliber of player. And yeah, man, it's just obviously I think that just gives a bit of testament to why Andy Cole, mate, why it's shocking he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. But he's got to be up there.
Lewandowski might be in
that.
I
was going to. That's exactly what I was going to bring up because I'm going to talk about him, Lewandowski, man.
This is the reason. This is the reason there. Just the season that he had for his club.
Yeah.
Although he had of course, we're not expecting too much with Poland, in all fairness. But if you look at what Kane did for his club this season, you're going to give him a Ballon d'Or based on what he did for England in 7 games. When
that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I feel like if Harry Kane, if he wins the, if he comes the captain of Euro winning side, that does give him a really good shout. But as he's saying, Lewandowski,
look what he's up against here. Look what he's up against here. You know,
Lewandowski, treble. Man. Lewandowski scored 9 more goals.
Playing for Bayern Munich.
I knew they were going to say that.
Pandemic season where there were no fans, and he basically walked through it.
It's a hard one though. Will, a treble, you can't ignore a treble, man. You can't. I know what you're saying, and he's playing. If Kane played in that team in Bayern Munich, God knows what he would do. You know, he would probably go insane. But this is why, going back to, I'm sure at some point we will be talking about Kane, but this is why I think the move, he will look at things like that. If Lewandowski was to get the Ballon d'Or, he would look at that situation thinking, man, I really need to get myself in a better situation to allow me to go on to those.
You can only,
come on, you see what I mean?
He's also got he's broke Gerd Muller's, like it's a nearly 50-year record, man. 41 goals in a season.
He's got to look at.
And I think the other person that's always within a shout is Messi. He's got it. Like if they win
the Copa America, yes, Saturday night. It's tomorrow night. It's in England. It's, I don't know what time it is with you guys, but it's Saturday night. It's the day before the Euro. So
to treble where though? Treble in Germany.
Yeah, it's still a treble though, mate. You still have to do the cup competitions and all that, man.
I mean, they didn't win the Champions League.
I mean, there is still something. I think you're really. There is some decent teams. There is a top 4, mate. It's league nowadays. Leipzig, Wolfsburg, they all played great, mate.
Listen, when you look down at it, eventually FIFA and UEFA would always give
league,
it.
It's like not. I don't even think it's in the top 5.
FIFA will give it to Messi. If Messi wins tomorrow night, it's done. He might as well sign, seal, delivered, and send it to him to South America.
Because I mean, also because like if you look at just in 2021, right? Lewandowski's got 34 goals and 4 assists, right? But Messi has just 1 goal behind him and but 13 assists, and he's won the Copa del Rey. That's the only title he's kind of thing won. I think the thing is against him is they didn't win the league. If they won the league and then he wins the Copa America, like you might as well just give it to him now.
But for sure, Kane is going to be there. He's going to be there. The top 3, top 2. He's going to be there. I just think that. With what we're saying about Lewandowski now, and also that Copa America tomorrow is a massive stepping stone. For Messi to actually win something with his country, you cannot ignore. You can't ignore that. That puts him in a really strong position. But Kane's amazing. Listen, I love Kane. You guys know that. What more can one say about that guy? It's incredible for me. This is why when we start talking like this and the reasons how you get to those situations to win the Ballon d'Ors and all the personal accolades, he has to go to another club. He has to go to a better team than what we currently have. We cannot offer. We can't.
No. If he gets a golden boot,
that next step, he's only going to achieve that next step away from Tottenham. And it kills me to say that. Don't get me wrong.
If he gets a golden boot at the Euros and he wins the Euros. And he had golden boot in the Premier League, and most assists of the Premier League. How can he not win it? There's no player that's had as many single accolades in a season. Yeah, I don't think anybody's ever had golden boot and most assists in their league and golden boot in the tournament.
I'll be the happiest man. Listen, I'm with you.
I don't think I'll get it.
I don't think he will, but
he deserves it.
I'll be the first one there to say, you know what, I'm happy. I'm truly happy for him. I just don't think he's going to get the nod ahead of Messi and players like that.
Let's end the Discord questions. So I'd like to open it up to the chat if any other questions. So, and Bob has kindly, I don't know if maybe he's a part psychic, but he's gave us one right now. Who do you think's better overall, Ronaldo or Messi? Remember, these questions could be general football, Spurs related, whatever you want. You know, we're all Spurs fans here, but if you want to talk general football, I'm more than happy.
Wow,
so
man.
I think this is a good question. It's an age-old question.
Okay. Messi is a God-given talent. Everything is just talented. It's just been blessed with sheer magic. Don't get me wrong, he works hard as well.
Right.
Ronaldo.
Can I fight this? Can I fight this with Yugi? Because he wasn't completely blessed with God-given talent, because it wasn't 100% God-given, because you've got to remember Barcelona put absolute hundreds of thousands into his medical. He was given these steroids. He was given all this. He was given medication.
The growth thing, right?
Yeah, but also that, like, I mean, that adds muscle. Adds, you know, there's a lot there. They did a lot. They did a lot for.
They only did that because he had the talent, right?
The foot, the foot. You can't be blessed. The foot is the foot. That's the part of the bit. I
think this should just be like a little, you know,
it's all here.
The connection between here and the foot. There's no enough steroids or anything else you can do to someone that connects here with the foot. Everything he thinks, he delivers. To able to do that, you can think, I'm going to bring that ball down, but to actually do it is another thing. For me, he's just the best player I've honestly, you know, everybody will say, those who are old enough, I know, have seen Maradona as well, but this guy is just on another level. Ronaldo is...
This is the one thing that what Bob's saying. You can see Bob's obviously clearly got a bias.
Yeah, he's a Ronaldo fan. I get that. Ronaldo, listen, it's a hard one to argue. I'm not knocking Ronaldo. To say what he's achieved has been nothing short of amazing, because he has gone to every country, like Bob said, proved it there. He's driven. His attention to detail in just about everything he does is insane. That is what you can achieve with hard work, dedication, drive, everything you want, and do what he and the records he has broken and continues to break, and has done so again in his Euros. There's nothing short of amazing. So for me, they are world class. Yeah. World class. Different reasons why they're world class, but for sure they deserve that same window.
How about this? Ronaldo and Messi are the greatest players of all time.
100%.
Yeah, I think wasn't that what
I'll go with that, Will. It's not sitting on the fence. It's facts, guys.
Because it's two different reasons, right?
Yeah.
Is Messi as clutch as Ronaldo? Does he have the mentality that Ronaldo has? Does he have that winner's mentality that only the greats like Maradona had? I think of Ronaldo having a similar mentality to Maradona than Messi does. Messi doesn't have the same mentality. Far better skill-wise.
Yeah.
But doesn't have that mentality.
That charisma, yeah.
I think,
and then you have Messi, who's I think is more like Pele, where they may have all this great skill and are able to do these things, but are kind of sheltered in a box, right? Pele never played in Europe. He just stayed. He had his one show, which was the international stage, and he did great things in those things. And Messi's the same way. It's like he hasn't done much on the international stage, but he's done a lot in club football with Barcelona over the years. And
guys, I think we've just been truly blessed with two fantastic players.
I think that's what
to actually witness both. Why do we have to choose one or the other? Why can't we just be appreciative of these two players? Fantastic in their own rights. They've broken every record they've been set to them, and they continue to break them. Just be happy that you've actually got to win. There's people, next generation, that are not going to be able to see this. They'll only see this on YouTube.
See it.
Yeah. So
I've with that, it's a great question, and we get to really focus on the kind of positive, beautiful highlights of football. And I'd like to get your thoughts about something that's a bit on the more controversial and sadder side of football that's happened with. I don't know if you've been keeping up to the news. These two boys are very lucky the Euros is going on, because there would be the absolute frontline page in the world of sport with Ousmane Dembele and Griezmann. Have you seen what that stuff that's been going out?
No. Sorry, guys. Keep me out. I missed it.
So this is exactly what I'm talking about, man. So there was a video. I'm not going to show it. You can go look it up online.
I will.
But there's a video of Ousmane Dembele and Griezmann, and they're on the Barcelona tour of Japan because Rakuten, their sponsor.
Yes.
They're Japanese. Yeah. They wanted to play. Griezmann wanted to play PES, the Pro Evolution Soccer game, and there were hotel staff were trying to set it up, and Ousmane Dembele's on a Snapchat, and he's making racial things about the Japanese staff members, talking about just saying really horrible stuff. I don't want
it's just mocking their physical appearance, or
mocking them, mocking the language.
Yeah, Griezmann's mocking their intelligence. Yeah, like Griezmann's probably not as bad at what he's, at least on camera.
I mean, Ousmane, it's even the fact that Ousmane Dembele said, how are they so backwards when he's trying to play a computer game that was made in the country they're in? When it's just, I think that someone who's a Black African French player, they've seen the things out there that have happened in France with Black Africans, and you think they'd have a bit more decorum about himself when he's talking about another race, but
to record himself doing it as well and putting it on out there, so it's out there in the public eye. It's just.
And then I'd like to. Have you seen his apology? This is the thing. Look at this. Is Ousmane Dembele. This is Ousmane Dembele's apology. Can you read that? All right. Do you want me to read that out for you?
Go on.
So it says, hey everyone, these past few days, a private video from 2019 went viral on social media. The moment took place in Japan, but it could have happened anywhere else in the world. No, I would have used the same language regardless of the location. I don't think he realizes how terrible that sounds. And it goes, it wasn't meant to be directed at any specific community. I tend to use this kind of language in private with my friends, no matter where they're from. The video has now gone public. I fully understand that they may hurt people that are in it. Therefore, I really want to extend my deepest apologies. Like, again, I'm sorry you feel hurt, kind of apology.
Why are you apologizing? If that's the language that you use, what is it you're apologizing for?
Exactly. And he's saying it was the fact that
he was mocking them for being Japanese. It wasn't the fact that he was mocking them for being anything else. How is he not talking about a specific community? And Griezmann's apology was even worse. His was basically, I didn't really do anything wrong, but if any of my Japanese friends are offended, I'll apologize to them.
Here it is.
That's just insane. It's just, listen.
I've always been committed to any form of discrimination. For the past few days, some people have wanted to pass me off. As a man, I am not. I firmly refute the accusations made against me, and I'm sorry if they've offended my Japanese friends. But here's the thing. It's not an accusation, mate. You were caught on 4K on a video. What accusation are you talking about? You're sitting there or being recorded. And it's... Barcelona are doing their best to absolutely sweep this under the rug.
To be fair to Griezmann, he didn't say anything racial. He was just making fun of their intelligence.
Right. Now, did you see the thing?
The racial aspect of it was insinuated, right? Because of the comments that Dembele was saying, right? If you look at the context, because Dembele was making racial comments and he was also making comments that mocked them, you could definitely insinuate that he was doing that as well. But
right, okay. I don't want to put it on the stream, but there is. I can send you the link to it, and I can put it out there to anyone who wants it.
Bob's was saying that Konami has cancelled his contract.
A lot of their sponsors have backed out.
Listen, I haven't seen the video, guys, so I can't,
and also just to get back to the fact that Griezmann was only there laughing. So there was a kid was running past people at the age of 5. Huh?
He's talking about Messi.
Right. Oh, right, that's what he's talking about.
You're behind
way back. Yeah, I was like so confused. But no, there's a video, right, where they're training with ice, right, and they actually have cut a bit out of it, and you can find it online on Twitter where Griezmann is doing a mock Japanese accent. He's going da 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 da. He's doing that crap.
Yeah,
and when there's a Japanese person in person right there, you've completely frozen on me.
Of Asian people, I think it's cool because they're quiet and kind and non-abrasive. People think it's okay.
Yeah.
Happens here
I
too.
think
I think it's a cultural thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to justify them in any way or form. I haven't seen the video, but I think there's in a lot of countries, different countries have this. It's just a cultural thing. With the whole, remember with Suarez and Evra situation, I said, well, in my country, we say that word and it's not offensive. It's acceptable in my country. But, these guys are now men of the world. They've visited different countries. You see different people, you do different habits and different says, and you've got to adjust to those situations. What you say necessarily in your country is not acceptable in another, and you have to adjust when you move around different countries for work. So it's inexcusable.
I think the top replied to Griezmann's apology said it best, which was it was an Asian lady from France saying it's because of teasing like that my daughter comes home in tears from school because of other children saying, I'm not even going to say that horrible, just terrible racial things which you normalize abject behavior to apply all forms of discrimination. And I think
it's happened to my kids. My kids are Asian, right? And it's happened to my kids, not from white kids, but from other minority kids.
Yeah. And so Definitely, yeah. They've cancelled. So Griezmann's got his Konami. They've got the PES game. He's cancelled from that, and he's also cancelled from a card game that was like back in the day when I was a kid, Yu-Gi-Oh. He was a big ambassador for that. They've cancelled him from that, and now Rakuten apparently are
Barcelona are losing a lot of sponsors.
Well, apparently Rakuten are thinking about like leaving them, and they give them 65 million quid a year, so that could be very damning. But the fact that Barcelona, you can go find it online where Griezmann is doing a mocking accent and mocking the language. They actually have cut that, and they've only cut it out recently from a Barcelona video. It's actually a Barcelona YouTube video, and they've just cut it out. And they haven't mentioned it at all. They try to scrub it away, and they've only apologized to the Japanese Twitter. So it's the Barcelona Japanese handle. It's the only one. Nowhere else have they acknowledged it anywhere. They're completely trying. I guess sickening they actually are just trying to sweep it under the rug, and they're saying, "Thank God it's the Euros because this would be everywhere." And as you're saying, for exactly, Iggy, you didn't even hear about it. You know what I mean?
No. This is racism in general. I'm not just particularly speaking on this, in this instance where I haven't seen a video, but just generally in football. It seems to be that that's the attitude, to brush it underneath the carpet as quickly as possible. PR situations tell the players you got to apologize. Just put a little tweet, whatever, just apologizing, and the players are putting apologizing, but you can see that they don't mean it in the way they write and they respond. They don't mean it. It's just my club, my work situation has put me in that. I have to apologize because it's out there in the main domain, and this is how racism is dealt, generally speaking. There's no. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing that, and certainly wouldn't be putting it on camera. Sorry,
I'm not calling for these players to be removed from football or anything like that. But I do support the businesses who don't want their names associated with that, with a club, 100%. With that type of people. So I think that's the right way to go about it.
Here is the real devil advocate, kind of double-edged sword. Okay, where do your moralities lie? I want to know. And the comments that people in watching, you can tell me yes or no what you would say. Griezmann, they look like they're going to try to get rid of Griezmann and Dembele because of their wage situation, and now all this controversy. It looks like they're possibly trying to phase them out. Now, if Harry Kane is gone, as Will said earlier, there is not a lot of world-class strikers out there, especially if you look at it, man. Mbappe, we're never going to get
anywhere near the club.
No, I'm saying you're never going to get Mbappe or Haaland. We're never going to get them two, right? They're the two young up-and-coming stars.
I'm a Griezmann.
That's what I'm saying, Griezmann, mate. Would you?
I don't really rate Griezmann that much either, to be honest with you. If he was the only person we could get,
yeah.
But
including what you know about him, would that
he's better than what we have, Jinty. He's better. I'm not mad on Griezmann because, with the exception of a few games that he had at Atletico Madrid, I haven't really seen him burst the scene at Barcelona. He's done well, but he's not amazing. And at France, I don't remember the last time he's had a really good tournament whenever I've seen him. So is he better than what we currently have in his position? Absolutely, yes. Because of our level, as because of the players at the level that we have in this position. But is he the answer? I'm not too sure. Dembele is an interesting player, but he seems to be got a few injuries, and it seems to be quite a few disciplinary issues that he has in his clubs regularly.
I mean, even
the talent is there.
Disciplinary issues too. I think you're asking for trouble. Will you do it because there's not many other options out there? Probably.
Because who's out there?
Going to end up he's going to end up coming out and saying something stupid like, what
he did there.
Son Heung-min wears a kimono or something like that. Like just dumb. You know what I mean? Like he's going to say something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know if you guys
mixing cultures, because I can tell you right now, if you confuse Koreans with the Japanese, you're going to piss off 40 million Koreans, right? Like
rightly so.
Yeah, that's not something that. I mean, even right now with Dokdo, which is an island that is contested between Japan and Korea, appeared on a map for some Olympic thing right now, and the news is all the rave about it, right? Like you don't understand. Just a little dot appearing on a map.
I was saying the reason
countries into outrage, right,
Regina? But I think the reason I'm saying would you take him is because he's not going to have a home, really. I think wages might not be an issue. He might have to take a massive pay cut because nowhere else wants him.
There'll always be someone out there, Ginzy. There'll always be someone out there that's quite happy to take.
Yeah, probably go to Italy.
For me, Spurs have got to focus more. And I think, you know what, this Euros has been a massive demonstration of it, is to identify the players for the manager that will make his system work its best. And not necessarily the best player in the world, but functional and a hungry player and one that's going to be a real good cause for your team. So for me, I will try and get something. I've mentioned this before. I've always liked the look of Ruben Neves at Wolves. Maybe last year he's been.
I thought that as well, man.
But those sort of players,
he's 30 now.
Ruben Neves.
Yeah.
Not Ruben Neves at Wolves. No, he's young, 22 years old.
In my head, I heard Raul.
Not Moutinho. I think you're thinking about Moutinho.
No, I'm thinking of Raul Jimenez.
No, Jimenez, not the striker, the midfielder, Neves.
Ruben Neves,
I like him, and somebody functional. Maybe he's not the best player in the world, but if you're going to go to a back three, Cody could be a massive help. Like I said, he's not the best defender, but he will probably give you everything to the cause. And we need players like that. We need players is going to give you their passion, is going to give you their all. And I'd rather have 20 of those players than somebody that just come for us,
Yeah, I don't know.
A Dele Alli type attitude. I don't want any more Dele Alli type attitudes. I really don't.
I know this may sound xenophobic, and this obviously isn't a generalization that I want to make implicit. It's universal. But
I think that's a good point.
It seems to me that at least in the footballing world, the French players tend to have serious attitude issues, especially for the big stars. Now, it's obviously not all the way across. Like Hugo Lloris, I think is great, right? So that's one example of a quality player who doesn't have negative attitude issues, but. You've got Pogba and Aurier and Ndombele and Griezmann and Dembele and Moussa Dembele was a great example of someone who didn't have those issues. So it's not a universal generalization, but it just seems that a lot of the players coming out of this generation from France tend to be very
too much smoke up their
arse.
Do you feel
though?
Controversial?
Do you think they've got too much smoke up their arse because of their upbringing? Because let's be honest, right? The fact that, but there was that meme going about when France won the World Cup saying France didn't win the World Cup, Africa won the World Cup. A lot of those players are coming up from second or first generation immigrants, and when you come away from nothing and then all of a sudden people are blowing smoke up your arse and you're making absolutely ungodly amounts a week, it would go to someone's head, I feel.
Yeah, but I mean, it can, but it just goes to the personality, because then you got people like Sadio Mane, who goes home and gives half his pay away. You know what I mean? So I think it just depends on the person, you know what I mean? And I think it has to do something with the culture, maybe necessarily in the French academies
Yeah.
or where they're coming up through. I think there's got to be some kind of cultural aspect there that they're either A1 making these kids celebrities at a young age or treating them like that celebrities, because usually narcissism comes from a undue sense of confidence that somebody else has put upon you, right? Narcissism is made, it's not independent. It doesn't happen on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Valid point there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it?
And it might be that Hugo came from a different time, because a lot of these kids are having this issue are about 5-6 years younger than Hugo, and Musa Dembele, who played for us, who now plays for China. You know what I mean? Like, it might be just a generational issue that has happened as France started to gain.
Didn't Pogba go through the Man U academy? Was he not completely for the Man U academy? Because didn't
at what
Juventus
age?
play?
I thought you couldn't come into the youth system in England until after 16.
I think came young. I don't want to be. He was there the first time, man. Then they got rid of him, gave him to
When he was
Juventus, and
19.
then he come back. Yeah,
The 19
Juventus
they got
wanted
rid of
him.
him. Yeah,
And he did a few years there. You're right, Will. It could have been after just those 16, and then he went to Juve at 19 because I don't know. Maybe Alex Ferguson saw something in him that
he
quite.
said Pogba wanted more time when he's and Alex Ferguson said his classic line: "No one's bigger than the club, mate." He thought off. He was, he thought you were a big star and a big up.
The signs. What we were saying, the signs were there.
Yeah.
The signs were already there, and Ferguson spotted that straight away. Said, "See you later."
Yeah. I mean, he also had Mina Raiola at that time, and Mina Raiola seems to.
Yeah,
they should.
He blows up.
I do. I can't. If that doesn't happen, if there's not a clause in the contracts of the players to say that if you do that, we have the right to terminate your contract if you do anything that brings disgrace or
damages,
damages the image of the club, right? Because I have that in all my sponsorship contracts. If I sponsor somebody which is fishing is the sport that my business works in, if they do anything that damages the image of the company, I have the right to cancel that contract right then and there.
But also, this is the football players are working. They are employees of their club, and then even when they play for the country, they're representing the country. This is all part of everyday life. So I don't understand what bubble they live in where there's no we do that at work. We behave in that way at work. We would have we would be sacked on the spot. And these guys, they need to be held accountable a little bit more. There's too much. If we, like I said, we did it at work, we would face the consequences, disciplinary action, possible dismissal. That would happen, 100%. I don't understand why it isn't the same for these guys in their line of work. Too much money involved, maybe.
Well, I think it's
they make too much. They make too much money for them.
It's not even. It's not even that they make too much money for them. It's that they're hard to replace. Right? They have a skill set that isn't. You're not just going to go out there.
Contracts is also a nightmare because think about it. They signed him on a 100-odd million. Was it Dembele was 110?
Yeah, but
million. And then
it depends on the league, I guess.
Griezmann was 107. No, but I'm saying if you think about it, if you put that much investment into someone, there's going to be absolutely tons of clauses. The agents are going to put loads of stuff in there to cover the player. So they'll get 30 million if they cancel their contract or something like that. So people will say, let's not take the bullet. Let's just try and sweep this under the rug.
Then I would put in that situation the contract, say, right, I don't want any of my players on social media. End of. Have a PR team to run your social media. You respond. Say I run your social media, Genty. We have fan mail coming in. They want you to answer these questions. Give me the answer to them, and I'll do the social media side for you. You do not go on social media. End of. Or it's got to be a pre-recorded or anything like that. No live, no update streaming, no live streaming, anything like that where you can put in a situation where you can expose yourself. You can expose us as a club or put us in a bad light. This is what I would say. I can't control that side, but this side, I don't want you going on.
I think you'd have player unions try to fight you, but also I think you've got to. I think it speaks volumes that you're saying, let's suggest this, like the problem is that, bad, that let's suggest completely.
That's actually
cutting
very
out because-
common here in the U.S. that the professional athletes have a PR
But
representative.
Americans don't have unions, mate. That's what.
Yeah, we do.
That's all good.
We absolutely do.
Player. I mean, in general, the thing. They're not big, powerful.
Somebody
thing,
that could control
players'
your
unions are
fan mail,
huge.
Yeah, I think it's.
We strike, boycotts, whole seasons. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Is
Has
that
there
right?
ever been an issue in football where the players have striked and not played an entire season?
That's true, actually. Yeah.
It's
happens
just
all
something
the
worth
time.
thinking
I mean,
about.
in general, mate.
To protect you, the club has got to look at it and say, well, listen, you guys are my employees, and I've put a massive investment in you as a player. I don't want you to do anything, whether you're drunk or whether you're messing about with your friends or you're feeling a little bit brave. That's going to put you, even if you're not representing that club, your club at that very moment, and you're out there with friends in a summer holiday, you are still a face of my club. And I don't want you to be doing anything that's going to make yourself and myself look in a bad light. Unless, obviously, if you're doing something with your family and you're uploading some videos of you messing about with your kids and your wife or your partner, whatever, that's fine. But anything that jeopardizes situations like that, no way. That's my opinion, and that's my take on it, guys.
Yeah, I agree because here it's different. And so it's not that I'm involved in watching American sports here, but growing up I did, obviously. There you got people that get in trouble all the time. You have gang-related crimes or drug-related crimes or domestic violence-related crimes. And if a club doesn't take action against their star athletes for those types of things, it's a huge, that there's several NBA stars who they're, LA Lakers, somebody are still, huge issues because they don't take that stuff super serious. Players have lost their careers over stuff like that. So
it's true, man. I think we're coming to the last 10, 15 minutes. Let's move from one doom and gloom to another doom and gloom.
Tottenham Hotspur.
Let's have a little Tottenham Hotspur, mate. Do you know what? You knew exactly what I was talking about.
As soon as you said gloom, I knew where you was going. Go ahead, Ginty. Tell us all what you want to talk about.
What do you think about the news that's going about saying that we're going to try and complete? How are you going to help me? Well, how do you say that the Japanese defender's name again?
Oh, Tomiyasu. I like him.
No, but apparently we're going to try and sign him before the start of the Olympics because that's got to be part of that and stuff. So they want to be pushing to have that completed before he goes out to that.
What a time to have the Olympics, eh? What a time.
I know.
For us, and I'm being selfish now. For our situation, what a time to have a player going to the Olympics, or any player for the matter.
Sonny wanted to go, but this club wouldn't let him, and it kind of made a national incident in Korea.
Of course,
club versus country.
They were ravagely pissed.
Of course they are,
because the Olympics to them is very important. It's not so much important in Europe, but in Asia, that's
we saw with Son.
It's a winnable thing.
We saw that. Yeah, they're going to go all the way. It's so. Forgive me for asking. Is Son going? Do we know? Or
no, he's not. That's what I'm saying. So the club would refuse to let him go because it's not a FIFA. It's not a FIFA sponsored event. The club does not. It's not required to allow them to go. The club
last time they did because of the right.
Yeah.
Last time because of the army, wasn't it?
Yeah, they declined, and Koreans got real mad. I mean, the YouTube videos that were out about it were.
So
have you heard about the other centre back? The new centre back that's coming into the fray would be Christian Romero for Argentina. He's been having a great Copa America, and apparently
Romero plays in Italy, didn't he?
Yeah, he plays for Atalanta.
Atalanta, that's the one. Good defender, solid. I remember now who he was. He played with Toloi. Good, solid defender.
Apparently, we're in for him, and so are Man U. So because we're talking about a lot of these, we're in. Do you feel a bit? Is this going to be hard for you to adjust to the Paratici style of going in for loads of players and then pushing the deals as far as possible and then making the call, right, we're going for that one, because I think the famous thing, I think the thing he's also going to say was, like when they looked for a striker for Juventus, they spoke to Giroud, they spoke to Haaland, they spoke to Lewandowski, they spoke to Morata, and then they spoke to, can't remember who the last one was, but then they finally okay, we'll go for Morata,
Ginty, you got to understand that in Italy, it's a tactic to do that. It's to make you think you're going one way when in fact you actually that is your prime target right there. But you want to create these smoke screens so they don't mess. They don't. If you lay your eggs all in one basket too early,
to the disaster.
Yeah.
If you lay your eggs in one basket too soon, it could be it's a ploy. It's a ploy. They mess about with names all the time. It's a start.
But does it annoy you that you see all these links? That's what I was trying to say to you, because we're
used to it with Daniel Levy, aren't we?
Right. Yeah, but you never used to
day.
Yeah,
I don't know how you guys see it, but
Daniel.
It's something that I know very well that's how they work. They want to have, they maybe have 2 or 3 players that they really want, but they create this smoke screen so they keep you guessing, and then obviously it's whatever deal is best for your club, and say, these are the 3 players. That's the one I think we're going to go for because the whole package is there, and we go for him. So that's
smart too. Because if you keep the press going on with a bunch of information, then it keeps the clubs from it
stops them jacking up the price. Because
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. You got it in one. That's exactly why they do it. That's how Italy has worked like that for years and years and years. So
if you're just going for one target and they know that's your target, like Jordan Sancho, I'm telling you right now, waste of 50, 60 million on Jordan Sancho.
Wasn't it 77? Was it 77?
No, I'm saying they're wasting.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because they came out.
He's not going to be worth what they paid for him.
They made that target so obvious. How long they've been after them? They didn't even try and say, well, you know what? If you're going to play hardball, let me go and get someone else that's similar. Even if you don't want him, you start playing with it a little bit to say, look, fix up, or I'm going over here. They didn't do that. They just
Maguire at Leicester.
80 million, 83. This is why you get. This is the kind of prices that we'll be looking at. That if we
focus on one player and they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing.
That's like, keep coming.
Haaland,
if you want him.
Haaland is set if he ends up going to Chelsea this season to be purchased, spending like 125 million euro plus making 600 grand a week. At 20-something years old, I mean that's just ridiculous, dude.
Do you know?
It's ridiculous. He's not.
I just think it's
those wages.
Crazy that, just how good is Borussia Dortmund's recruitment, man? The fact that they've sold,
How do you? Unbelievable, man.
But,
yeah, they're making a ton of cash. RB Leipzig's making a ton
300 million. They made 300 million.
Yeah.
They've
but wait. One thing with Haaland, you have to remember one thing. Raiola's got to earn big money out of it, out of that move. He's got to earn millions out of that one. And apparently his father, Haaland's the old man, he's got to he's into earning a bit of money. So you're not just paying for that for the player, his wages. You're paying Raiola. I think he for Donnarumma, he's picked up something like 15, 20, 25 million himself for him, and Donnarumma's father picked up some money. 3 or 4 million for that move.
I'm getting paid back for all the money that I invested in my kid if he ever goes pro. I've already paid him.
You see what I mean? There's the club is not just paying for the player, man. He's paying for this whole circus that goes on around
Neymar
him.
as well, isn't it? Neymar.
Yeah,
I already told my kid the amount of money because look, it's pay to play here in the U.S. I'm forking out the cash, man. I'm telling you. And you got interest. I've already calculated it, right? Interest over 30 years. That's what my son. Once you make 10 million. 10 million.
Personally speaking, if we can stay away from anyone Raiola's players, the better. Believe me when I say that. You do not want to deal with us.
So we'll be getting a bunch of George Jimenez players.
Mendes, that could be a good thing as well. So yeah, I'm happy with that.
But I'm gonna be a good agent for my son if he ever goes pro because I'm not emotional. You know what I mean? I'd be literally telling him if he needs to go someplace else, I'd be like, look, take cutting wages, go over here. Right, rebuild your career. I think that's the problem. Some people get.
I think you're table flipping out. You're going, get out of here.
No, two players. Some players are too full of themselves. They're not grounded enough. They don't have enough people in their life telling them the truth that they need to just take a step back so that they can take 2 steps forward. You know what I mean? Especially if you're in a bad situation. Like
what would you do? When you go, sorry.
Like Alexis Sanchez, right? At United and Arsenal and stuff like that. United, right?
Yeah.
Instead of being stubborn, just sitting on the bench for years, because if as a pro athlete, if you're sitting stagnant for a year, that'll kill your career.
Time. Yeah.
Would you stay that calm and collective if, on God forbid, Daniel Levy was still around at Tottenham? You know, when your boy was going pro and Spurs want to sign him, and you have to go cross the table from Daniel Levy. Could you keep your chill then?
Yeah, I can keep my chill. Because we're talking about money here, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's a different conversation. But the price is right. If the price is right.
It's like a reverse
job for him.
Reverse Harry Kane.
Will ain't messing about. Will ain't messing about. This is why you remember Alex Ferguson used to say he always liked dealing with the mother of the player rather than the father of the player. Because with the mother, she always wants what's best for the son rather than the father, who's a bit more calculative about things and harder to deal with. Alex used to always Mr. Ferguson used to always deal with the mother because he found that was the icebreaker.
The easy way to get in? No, my wife's tougher than me. Trust me.
No. I'm saying the easy because the wife doesn't look at her son as for the footballer. She's
wants more emotional.
What's best. Yeah, she just wants what's best for the son. I'm not saying it's an easier. That's not what I intended at all.
Secret agent, man. But do you feel that? How do you feel about the last kind of question? I feel Jules Koundé coming out. I have to agree with what he said about his comments on Spurs, saying that but he doesn't really want to come because Tottenham are a second-rate team. I've got to be honest, he's got a point a little bit for me. You know,
second-rate team in comparison to who? To
first-rate Real Madrid's, the Barcelona's. Well, not the Barcelona, but the Man U's, the Man Cities, the PSGs of the world, Bayern's.
He's not discovering he's not discovering electricity. You know, it's how can we compare ourselves to these elite teams? Of course, if you look at it in that. But Jason, is it Koundé? Did you say it was?
Koundé,
he doesn't waste an opportunity to dig out Spurs at any given time. So. Yeah,
they're not a signing team, more of a no-rate team. I think Danny's right.
Yeah, it's more like a no-rate team.
Came out in some reports. You can, if you go look it up, you'll see it.
It's hard. It's hard to disagree with that statement in particular. I've always said this, guys. Until we have a sense of direction of where we want to go and how we wish to, if this is our level, this is our level, conference league level. That's tough even for me to take. You know, I like to think we're a bit more ambitious than that, and we've moved forward, trying to get back at least in the top 4, and then from there we can go on again. Yeah. But if we're not, which the signs, every signs that I've seen so far, I don't know if Paratici is going to bring something different, but every sign I've seen, it shows that this is our level, possibly challenging for 5th, 6th Europa League, but top 4. Guys, can you see top 4? Unless something drastic happens. But it's something. But how?
But other teams have to film it. You know?
Well, certain things have to happen for us to think about that.
It's like a Leicester City. You know, it's like Leicester could win the league, but everyone had to
look at the points. Even if you just take out individual errors this season, we finished 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
If you take out the individual errors that cost us points, we finished 2nd.
Well, man, we've got to look at our situation. You know, Man United are going to come. The players at Man City are going to invest. Chelsea are going to invest. Even Leicester City are going to invest. We need to do something.
The point totals in the top 4 weren't extraordinary, right?
No. That was last season. That was last season. I'm talking about this season.
Right. That's what I'm saying. For the last 2 seasons, the points totals have been very low. Normally, it takes 72 points to even get into the top 4, whereas 73, 72 points was, 10 points shy of City at the top and it's in 2nd place, right? So
But these clubs are going to all make moves, mate. They're all going to make moves
They
this
are going to
summer.
make moves, and you've got.
They're all going to make moves because they want to push on, because they know that some of those clubs, like Liverpool, for example, just to name one, would have found that they got lucky.
I haven't even seen Liverpool.
No,
They signed a release clause for Konate.
But what I'm trying to say is, for their level, they would have accepted that was not acceptable. Yes, they had a lot of injuries, but they would have accepted that. Well, we got lucky to be in the top four. Sorry, let's not let that happen again. They're going to make moves this summer, in my opinion.
Dave,
No, I see these guys doing it. I see Leicester maybe reinforcing their team. I see maybe Chelsea doing the same, even more so with a striker. Man City, for sure, they're gonna want to make up for losing that Champions League. They're gonna go big again. What are we doing, guys? What are we gonna do to say? I need to see something to believe that we are going to do something to push on. I don't see us going above fifth, fourth, fifth.
Fifth at a minimum. Sixth at a minimum. Fifth is what I expect.
Yes,
if we get the top four, is a
top
bonus.
Four.
That's Europa, man.
Top four. We need to make a future. A few of the players.
But we need to be competitive in it. If we're not competitive for top four, if we're not fighting for it on the last day of the season, I'll be disappointed.
With our current squad, mate, I just don't see it. I
think we're going to sign 3 players this summer.
I think Bill's got
more than signing 3 players. I would say we need to get rid of quite 3, 4, maybe up to 6 players. We need to really shake that up. But I don't expect 6, 7 players to leave in one window. That's harsh. I would never expect that. But I will at least start making moves to say, right, we know the 6, 7 players that we will identify that we want to move on. The ones that really need to move on are the players that don't want to be there. So probably 3.
Apparently, it's a buyer's market right now.
Yeah.
And so selling
like what Bob is saying, Leicester bought, and you're saying, oh, what if Liverpool bought, mate? Liverpool did the release cost for Konate, mate, one of the up and coming best defenders. Could you imagine Konate and Van Dijk beside each other, mate? That's could have been an absolute fucking nightmare to get past, and they've already gone for.
I think this is a career killing injury. He's been sitting out for over 12 months.
I don't know, mate. I've seen Van Dijk come back from bad injuries before.
For a 12-month injury? I haven't seen any player come back from a 12-month injury.
But I still think he's that levels above even a 60% bloody Van Dijk is going to be better than any sort of player.
He'll be good, but he won't be who he was.
Danny, I'm hoping that. I'm reading your comment, mate, and I'm hoping that is the case. Listen, we need to really get to work.
I don't think United is that good of a team either.
3 or 4 players we need to bring in. 3 players, like you said, would be great. Maybe getting the same amount of players out and let that be a beginning, because Man City, when we think about the first game of the season, is not that far away, guys. When you conclude the holidays coming up for the players that have been in the Euros and then they get gathered up again for pre-season, it's not a lot of time to prepare for that first league game of the season. We need to get that right, and we need to start well as well. The first 3 or 4 games will be massive. And
I don't think if City doesn't end up pulling in a world-class striker either, I don't think City. I think City capitalized on the fact that a lot of the other teams were in bad form. I don't even think City would have had as many points as they had if the other teams in that top 6 weren't as bad as they were on average, right?
Do you worry which side of the coin Kane's going to be playing in that day? Is he going to be with us? Is he going to be with them?
Oh yeah, Kane's not leaving the squad this year. I don't think.
Well, I'm holding on to your words, mate. I am
as well. I don't.
Unless it's for a crazy amount of money. Unless somebody comes in with a crazy amount of money, which I don't think City will. I could be wrong. If they do, if they come in for more than 150, I think that they'll go for that. But at 100, it's not happening. It's
good business. 150 million is good business, guys. Whatever way you look at it, it's good business.
I wouldn't be against it.
Virgil van Dijk's just finished yet. Toxic, man. I don't think. I think I'd like to see him come back and then judge him.
The only hope that I have about Kane is the fact that next year
will be the same.
Yeah, I have. My only hope is that we have the World Cup is next year, and I think he might say, you know what? Let me move after the World Cup. And I will take that, guys. I will take that. To keep him one more year and say, we'll let you go at 150 million before the World Cup starts. Let's get it done. I will take that. That's my only hope, because if the World Cup was in 2 years, 3 years' time, it would be completely different for me.
Okay, final question for you guys, right? And then we'll wrap up this live stream.
Yep.
Of all the names that have been put with us and all the deadwood, right? One player you can sign, one player you can get rid of right now, guarantee.
Ooh, one player.
It's only from the names I've been linked with.
Oh man!
Of all the players that we've been linked with,
Yeah,
Skriniar.
You take Skriniar, and what would the deadwood you get rid of?
One player.
Dyer and Sanchez.
You can only. I was just saying, just one, just
one.
To keep it, just
Dyer.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Eggy?
The one. Dyer, Oreo. Oreo is another one that gets on my tits. Because of the amount of just he is the one that's the most outspoken about wanting to leave. And once someone's outspoken about wanting to leave, for me, he's got to go. So I'm going to say for that reason, I would choose Oreo, and I'll probably the ones that are linked with. I would love to. You know what?
Site there for you.
I'm going to say Thuram. I like Thuram. I've seen enough about him that makes me really interested in having him in Spurs.
I think me.
Although we need defenders. Although we do need defenders.
Yeah, I think me and Regina are in the same place. I would have, she would say, Tomiyasu. But
that's a good shout. It's a good shout.
Because he's young and like out of the young players that we have, there's Lacroix as well, but he's really quite raw. And we need to get rid of Sissoko, mate, because of just how much of a big presence he is and how much of an absolute deadwood he is, So yeah, but anyway, it was nice having you guys on talking all that.
It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure sharing the stream with you guys.
Been fun.
Yep. So where can we find you, Iggy? The old
Tottenham away. I'm Tottenham away. You find me with the other guys. And I'm on Twitter for those who wish to keep up. I'm Iggy Prince 10. That's my Twitter account. So that's where you'll find me, guys.
And what about yourself, Will?
For me, talked about Narcissist earlier. North America's biggest Tottenham Hotspur channel.
100%.
The Bald and Bearded Show.
Will Stewart THFC Rants. You can search Will Stewart THFC Rants or just search THFC Rants. It's easier, shorter. You'll find it just the same. THFCRants.com or Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Discord, YouTube, where
Danny.
everywhere
Discord,
but Snapchat, because I don't do Snapchats.
Or TikTok.
Well, we know one player.
We are on TikTok.
Who should be doing some Snapchats?
Are you on TikTok?
Yep. On TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter.
Oh, those lovely socials.
Discord.
If BJ's on it, I might be tempted to open up a TikTok account.
Yeah, that's where BJB. That's the home of BJ's TikTok.
And you convinced me. Thanks, Cody. I appreciate it, mate.
What about that? Are you on this channel by any chance?
No comment.
We don't have an OnlyFans either.
Right. It's been great having you guys on.
Enjoy the final Sunday, guys.
Other Spurs content. You've only got like 45 minutes to jump to Iggy's channel, Talking Away, watch the two Brians. But as we say here, it's great talking with you.